believable in a way.
Yeah, well, I think what makes it believable is I fall down all the time, and we leave it in. We leave it in the film. I don't think Tom Cruise is letting them leave his slip-ups in Mission Impossible. But when actually in this film, Normal, I fall down twice when I'm fighting. And we left it in because I like to play a vulnerable hero, somebody who is actually getting hurt when he gets hit and who is getting slowly beaten down, but never quits.
So Derek Kolstad, with your collaborator.
Yes, and Ben Wheatley, the director, a great director who's made numerous action films, and he brings to Normal all these genre feelings. So it's kind of got some comedy through the whole movie. It's got suspense for about a half hour. Then it turns into an action film. And then it kind of turns into a horror film. You know, Weapons is a great horror film from last year. And those horror film moments, that strange feeling of something bad's going to happen. And then something bad happens that is ludicrous and big. And you can only laugh. We have a lot of those moments in Normal.
Is it tougher working in comedy or action? I mean, I have a suspicion.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, no, drama's the hardest thing. Action is fun. Action is choreography. Action is a new area for me, but I've been doing it now for about 6 years, and I've gotten more comfortable in there. But I love comedy so much. It's still my go-to place, and there's a lot of comedy in Normal because of that, and also because of the writer and director.
Bob, it's a great film. Congratulations. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jake.
Coming up Sunday on State of the Union, we're going to have Energy Secretary Chris Wright going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz and all the rest. Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. That's Sunday at 9 a.m. and noon Eastern on CNN. Until then, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and on the TikTok at Jake Tapper. Don't forget Blue Sky. You can follow the show on X and Instagram at The Lead CNN. If you ever miss an episode of The Lead, you can watch the show on the CNN app. Aaron Burnett out front starts right now. Take it away, Aaron.
Out front next, breaking news, Iran using Trump's own words against him, even as he claims Tehran has all but agreed to a deal. The two countries facing off over nuclear enrichment and the Strait of Hormuz. Plus, Trump versus Mamdani. Was the love affair between the two men always too good to be true? Hear why Trump says the mayor is now ruining New York. And award-winning, this picture from a Trump press conference when an attendee collapsed went viral. The photographer is about to be honored for it in front of Trump himself. Let's go out front. And good evening, I'm Aaron Burnett. And out front tonight, the breaking news, Iran publicly contradicting Trump as the president claims the two countries are close to a deal.
This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to.
13 minutes after Trump said that, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, who is leading the nuclear negotiations for Iran, posted, quote, the President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. And then Tehran went on to contradict President Trump on crucial key sticking points, which include this.
The USA will get all nuclear dust. You know what the nuclear dust is? That was that white powdery substance created by our B-2 bombers, those great B-2 bombers.
The center of it all, it appears he's referring to the uranium. Tonight, a spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry telling state TV that that's just not true, saying Iran's enriched uranium is not going to be transferred anywhere. Now, it is a bit unclear what Trump means by nuclear dust, all in. I mean, you just heard him say that it meant powder created by America's B-2 bombers. Could mean, you know, the leftovers of everything bombed in nuclear sites. But he has used the term many times, sometimes seemingly clearly referring to actual enriched uranium stores.
They're going to give us the nuclear dust. I call it the nuclear dust. I use the term nuclear dust. We want the nuclear dust, because you'll get nuclear dust. We'll all get nuclear dust. You know, that nuclear dust blows across oceans very quickly.
Okay, we spoke to the former IAEA chief nuclear inspector for Iraq, Robert Kelly. And we asked him what he makes of Trump's comments, this nuclear dust. He said, quote, and I'm quoting him, if he can't get his arms around highly enriched uranium, he looks like an idiot. There's no such thing as nuclear dust. And The uranium, the nuclear dust, is not the only hang-up, although it is crucial at the center of everything. There's also the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the biggest sticking points in Trump's war with Iran. Trump claims everything is back to normal. He said Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran, interesting. That's interesting. I guess he just gave them the strait, because ostensibly he meant Hormuz, is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. It's a Freudian slip there, he put. But a tanker CEO, by the way, told me tonight that they're sitting tight, absolutely not moving toward the strait because it is not open. They're waiting for more word from the UN. They say the Iranians haven't given them any indication of it being open. And the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, who I just mentioned, had said that those claims of a deal are false, posted, quote, with the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Although I'm sure he'll be thrilled that Trump called it the Strait of Iran. Only a handful of ships crossed the strait today, according to ship tracking data. And so, look, the whole situation at best, as we're speaking here right now on Friday night at 7:03 Eastern, is at best messy. And of course, if Trump is right and a final deal with Iran is on the verge, as Axios is reporting, that's fantastic. It is good news, even if that deal isn't as good as the deal the U.S. had with Iran well before the war, especially because Trump was threatening to annihilate an entire civilization just last week. Kristen Holmes is out front live outside the White House. And Kristen, what is the latest you're learning there on where things stand?
Well, White House and U.S. officials have been very quiet since President Trump has kind of taken this leadership role in terms of a public spokesperson for what this deal actually is. And we had been hearing from these U.S. officials kind of walking us through what was on the table at one point, telling us that it was considering that part of the consideration had been to potentially unfreeze billions of dollars in assets to Iran. President Trump, in a series of interviews, saying that wasn't true. There was going to be no money changing hands. Nothing was going to be unfrozen. And since then, it's been relatively quiet on the front with these U.S. officials, and that's likely because they are just going to let President Trump take the lead on this. We've seen this before. Now, the question, of course, is what is the actual deal that they might be close to making? And I will say, from talking to White House officials and U.S. officials for the last 2 days, they do seem more optimistic than ever. They do feel like they are on the verge of a deal. But what's actually in the deal? And that's going to be the big question. And of course, obviously, as we have seen, we cannot trust Iran at face value. They clearly have some kind of indication that they're working towards something, just given what happened today with the Strait of Hormuz. However, at the other side of this, we know that enriched uranium was a huge sticking point. In fact, what we were just talking about last night was the biggest sticking point was whether or not Iran would agree to any kind of time frame in which it would not enrich uranium. The U.S. had said 20 years. Iran had said 5 years. Now we're talking about a whole other scenario where there is no enriching of uranium at all, which really wasn't even on the table to begin with. So there are so many facets of what President Trump is announcing that we are trying to understand and get details of and really get to the bottom of what this means. Now, of course, what we've been told is that Vice President J.D. Vance would be leading this delegation. We don't have any indication that he's on the move as of now. He will likely take a press pool with him. They would likely go back to Pakistan. But again, when I'm talking to these officials, they are still in a very positive headspace about the potential for a deal in the next couple of days.
All right. And of course, we'll see. There's always a lot of posturing that you see and going to be some not truths coming from all sides, possibly publicly in a negotiation. Thank you, Kristen. Everyone's back with me. Brett McGurk, let me just start with you because you've been there. You've sat there across the table from the Iranians during negotiations in the Obama administration. And as I said, if there's a deal, that's great because we were talking about annihilating a civilization last week, even if the deal is much less robust than the deal that you negotiated the Obama administration. Nobody wants this war. But you hear the person leading the Iranian side tonight saying the president of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which are false. They're saying that they have not, and that Iran's enriched uranium is not going to be transferred anywhere. But how tenuous are the negotiations at this point when you hear things like that? I mean, you've heard things like that before.
Yeah, Aaron, you've heard the term fog of war. I guess this would be fog of diplomacy. I've never really heard it put that way, but I think this your lead-in, fog of diplomacy. The thing about the Iranians, and you're right, Aaron, I've actually squared off with some of these guys even more recently in the Biden administration. Even if you're sitting at the table with an Iranian official or counterpart and you agree to something, and it's on paper and it's detailed and you have a fine print, it's really not done because their system has so many different factions, and the Revolutionary Guards kind of filters things to make sure whatever they're agreeing to protects the revolution and advances the cause. So it can take time, even more complicated here, because who's actually in charge in Tehran is not entirely clear. And over the course of today, and you had an incredible moment where the foreign minister, Arachi, who he's the English-speaking guy who comes out and is very nice to everybody, said, hey, the Strait is going to be open. He suggested on their rules, and then the Revolutionary Guards and state media came out and said, actually, no, it's not. He's totally wrong. So you can see that fissure. So, look, but if you back up, the fact that ceasefire is holding, there's all this diplomacy going on. I think the Pakistani military chief, Munir, has been basically living in Tehran the past few days, clearly communicating with the White House. And I think he's probably putting a positive spin on things as we head in possibly to talks. But a lot of uncertainty, murkiness, use whatever term you like.
Yeah, I mean, Nazil, it is incredible, right? And as Brett's talking about, right, these fissures of who's in charge and also what the Revolutionary Guards want and what they said on the Strait of Hormuz versus Araghchi, hugely significant. And again, just saying from shippers, they're not moving yet. They're looking to what they see as the ultimate arbiter, one of the UN agencies over the Strait, and they are saying that the message there is, we're hearing no confirmation from Iran, it's open, sit tight. Was the message that I got. So that they don't see it as open as of yet. But Nazila, when you see Kalibaf, the Speaker of the Parliament, leader of the negotiations from Iran, such as we understand it right now, just coming out 13 minutes after Trump said it's basically done, it's going fast, everything's agreed to, and said the President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. Okay, and then he proceeded to kind of break them down and go one after the other and talk about lie after lie. What do you make of that? Of those series of posts coming from Kalibaf now?
Erin, as you said, I think a lot of it is public posturing. But the Iranians also want to control the narrative here, especially because of the way Trump is putting the details of how they're going to move forward and what Iran has agreed to. So I think everyone inside Iran is competing for a control over the narrative. But Ghalibaf, especially because he's been part of the negotiations, he's the man who is leading the talks right now, and he's very well aware of what caused the impasse during the first round of talks in Islamabad. But altogether, I totally agree with you, Brett, that today we are in a much better place than we were previously. I think what everybody was celebrating today, despite the disagreements that we heard, is that the fact that there is a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, and that was the biggest obstacle to the talks. That was the reason Iran did not open the Strait of Hormuz.
Right. And of course, that was Trump putting the kibosh on Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, he did that. That is why that aspect moved forward with Lebanon. Dan Lamothe, you are the Pentagon reporter at the Washington Post, and I just want to bring you in here because I know you've got some new reporting on the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, which is central to all of this as well. Because Dan, you went through the satellite images. These images are from Thursday, so just yesterday, showing 3 Iranian tankers docked at Karg Island. And you say that those 3 tankers, we're looking at them right there on the screen, loaded a combined 5 million barrels of crude oil. And then you said there were 5 ships with a combined 9 million barrels of Iranian oil that had been at another Iranian port, and they are also now gone. Now, you're looking at the satellites, and you're saying this happened during the blockade. Can you explain what you see here?
Yes, I can. Thank you. So those tankers at Karg Island and really anything within the Gulf, the Navy appears to largely be leaving those alone. And basically, so long as they stay where they are, they can't cross the blockade line farther out in the Gulf of Oman. Basically, they're trapped there, is the way the Navy is looking at it. Those other tankers, the ones that were in Chabahar, much closer to being out in the free ocean, those departed. I'm told they departed prior to the blockade taking effect. The Navy's actually shadowed those tankers out. 3 of the 5 that were there in that satellite image have since either turned back or actually returned to port. And the Navy is actually continuing to shadow the other 2. I'm told that they are well into the Gulf, and perhaps may even reach the Indian Ocean by the time the Navy's able to get those to turn around.
Brett, I want to ask you about Trump's post when he is claiming that the Strait of Hormuz, as it is called, is open. Obviously, we're saying in practice right now, it is not, right? Shippers are not yet moving through it. We didn't see that traffic. Now, that could change, but that's the actual situation on the ground right now. But Trump posted, Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. You know, Brett, I understand it's a tweet, right? But it is nonetheless an important, perhaps, Freudian slip that the President of the United States just referred to the Strait of Hormuz as the Strait of Iran, given that what we have seen, which is that they did not control it prior to this war. And they seem to, he's certainly acknowledging it there, control it now.
Yeah, I hope that was just a misprint. It's the Strait of Hormuz. The international passageway, which is not in Iranian waters, needs to be the main passageway. That's where the U.S. Navy put 2 destroyers through last week and was working on clearing mines out. Right now, it's a passageway up on into Iranian waters, and I think that should be unacceptable. I mean, the president put that statement out around the same time that Arachi put his statement out, and it looked like this morning there was kind of a breakthrough. But the thing about the Strait of Hormuz, and I think Dan's reporting is very important, you know, it's empirical. You can actually count the ships and whether or not ships are going through. So everybody can say it's open, it's closed. We actually can tell. We know. I will say just one final point. I do think the blockade is working and it will put real pressure on Iran, particularly as they have to shut in their production of oil as the days go on here. So I do think it has gotten their attention. It surprised them. It might be one reason for some of this diplomatic progress, but the Iranians will never acknowledge that. They will always present themselves as coming from a position of maximum strength.
And Nazila, that economic pressure you are hearing about, I know from people inside Iran nonstop. Yesterday you were talking about the price of potatoes and the surge, and that even wealthy people were suffering. What are you hearing now?
The same thing, Erin. The economy is under enormous pressure. And Iran did call the blockade as a breach of the ceasefire. So yes, the blockade is doing what it's supposed to do. It is putting a lot of pressure on the Iranian economy, and they will not acknowledge it publicly. But it is what they will discuss behind closed doors that matter more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all three very much. I appreciate it on this Friday. And next, breaking news, President Trump just threatening to bring a new dawn to Cuba. So, Cuba. Is Cuba next? Is it now in the offing? New target. Plus, it's the photo that was seen across the globe. President Trump staring straight ahead. Someone had collapsed next to him. The picture went viral. The photographer is now about to be honored in front of Trump. He's our guest. And Trump and Mamdani, the two did seem to find common ground, despite being, politically opposite. But that goodwill is gone. Max Rose and S.E. Cup are next, and you will want to hear, as always, what they have to say.
Go ahead and meet him, Bruce. Take him to the set. Stand by your brake, Master. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, effect. Where your brake, please, Master.
In the beginning, we had to make a choice. But what we didn't realize was how far we were willing to go.
Don't stay too late.
I'll try.
Friday night, closing the books. Just a few more hours. Nah, that's not true. $120 for what? Gonna need some coffee. Uh-oh. Who authorized this? Did we pay this twice? Well, hello. Did Ramp just auto-code all the invoices? All the receipts are here. Boom, boom, boom. Yes. Love closing the books on time. Ramp. Love finance.
Hello. I'm going to tell you about Mal Kennedy. The first time I met him, he was only a kid.
We're family now. Ruben, it's the best and the worst thing all at once.
Don't talk like you're better than me.
We're training. Let's get it done, pal.
How does he know everything?
I want. How long has Pat Brown worked here? Pat, 7 years next month. Thanks for the hard work.
I want Paycom's command-driven AI.
That particular dish is a dish I would cook with my grandmother.
Please enjoy.
Are you Marsha?
I am. I am.
Thanks for meeting me here. Usually not an interweb dating guy. Barely ever use this phone computer. Unless it's to bundle my insurance with Liberty.
Oh, same. I hate this thing, but it's true. You can save hundreds bundling with Liberty.
Liberty?
Liberty?
Liberty. Are you hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some lasagna.
And some penny relief.
Only pay for what you need.
So I've heard Fisher Investments is a fiduciary.
Yes, we always put clients first, even if that means a little straight talk.
Like what?
We tell our clients what they need to hear, like if their lifestyle might lead them to outlive their money.
We'd want to know that.
Other times, we keep clients from making big investment mistakes that can impact their future.
We'd want to know that too.
At Fisher, we use a disciplined approach, keeping you on track for a comfortable retirement. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
Dear employer,
my name is Phil Martin.
My name is Michael Raskovich.
Ronaldo Bird.
Zach Deiser. I am writing to express my excitement at the opportunity to join your team.
As someone on the spectrum,
I may communicate in ways that are different from what you are used to.
I possess a unique set of skills
that sets me apart from other candidates.
Thank you for your consideration.
Your credit journey starts here with a secured self-Visa credit card. With high approval rates, it's a great option whether you're just starting out or rebuilding your credit. And as you use it and make payments on time, you can build your credit one step at a time. Visit Self to apply.
Disaster, the Chernobyl meltdown, May 10th on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
Breaking news, President Trump is warning Cuba. Hey, Cuba, you may be next. Saying this to a friendly conservative audience just a few moments ago. Listen to him.
Very soon, this great strength will also bring about a day, 70 years in waiting. It's called A New Dawn for Cuba. We're going to help them out with Cuba. We have a lot of great Cuban Americans. Not too many people in this audience, I don't think, but you go to Miami, we have people, Cuban Americans, people that were brutally treated, whose families were killed and brutalized, and now watch what happens.
Trump's comments came just minutes after he took credit for ending numerous wars, including the war in Iran, which he, of course, started.
He ended 8 wars, and it may be a little early to say this, but if we add Iran and Lebanon, that will be 10 wars ended.
Former Congressman Max Rose and S.E. Kopp are both here with me now. S.E., okay, I want to ask about that, of course, but I want to start with the fact that he's saying, Cuba, you're next.
Right.
So now that he feels that he's on a verge of a deal in Iran, it's what's the next place?
And he and others have been doing this for some time. He was threatening Colombia right after Venezuela.
That's right.
They've been threatening Greenland. You know, I mean, Canada was going to be invaded at one point. I mean, it's easy to end wars when you're starting conflicts all over the globe, both with our enemies and our allies. So it seems the psychiatrist version of this would be that he's bored and getting restless in Iran. But you can also just see it being his last term. It feels like he's got a bucket list of things he wants to do. And he's going down the list, like depose a dictator, start a war. And it seems like because he has the power and Republicans aren't trying to stop him from doing anything he wants to do, he's throwing this out there like, what if I do this, who's going to stop me?
I mean, Max, it is pretty incredible, though, that to say that he's ending 10 wars. He said once Iran and Lebanon would get him to 9 and 10.
Sure.
Right? I mean, so I guess if you start one and then you end it, it gets counted on the ending ledger.
Sure, for your stats. What was also incredible was the crowd reaction when he mentioned Cuba. Now, Turning Point is supposed to be their political base, MAGA Central, young people. He says, we're going after Cuba. The silence was deafening. And what I think that was an illustration of the fact that Donald Trump's foreign policy is dramatically different from where his base is and where his campaign was at. Of course, he campaigned on ending forever wars. I would also just say this about these comments. We have a tendency when Donald Trump says things to say, oh, that's just Donald, right? He must just be looking for a reaction from all of us. This is a man that in this year, this calendar year, has invaded 2 different countries, both without constitutional approval.
Iran
Recklessly,
and Venezuela.
Iran and Venezuela. So there's every reason to take him seriously here.
But it's really interesting because on most issues, Trump's base believes him even when he lies. On Iran, though, if you look at polling, despite his rosy view of we've won, we're about to win, we've been winning, we're going to win some more, everything is going to be great, polling suggests no one believes him. Very few people believe Donald Trump, including inside his base, that he has a handle on this war. And that's really saying something, because most of the time, Americans tune out foreign policy unless we're really actively engaged. And I think Americans are really worried, both economically and about what boots on the ground might mean for us and our families, that they're very engaged in this war. And they have their own ideas on whether we're winning it or not.
Max, it comes as Trump is, you've got Mayor Mamdani coming out in New York and talking about raising taxes on complicated details, but certain wealthy people. That upset Trump, who, of course, used to live in New York. And Trump posted, sadly, Mayor Mamdani is destroying New York. It has no chance. And then he doubled down. Let me just play what he said here.
Look at New York. I mean, he's a nice guy. Calls me all the time, says hi. But his policies are no good. He's chasing people out and causing a lot of harm to everybody.
And, you know, of course, we remember the Oval Office meeting, the infamous moment when Trump was very funny, actually, said he thinks I'm a fascist. He's like, you go ahead. You think I'm a fascist, right? And Donnie's like, yeah. And they were friendly. You know, it was this sort of bizarre thing. And now, is that over?
Well, every time they interact, I feel like I live in a simulation. So I'm happy that we're returning to some level of political normalcy here. First of all, this was always inevitable. There's too much of a political incentive for at least Donald Trump to go after Mamdani. What
And
has
vice versa,
been,
maybe.
What's that?
And vice versa, maybe, right?
Well,
It's advantageous to both of
Well,
them.
what's interesting here about the other side is traditionally for Democrats, it has been a total third rail to go anywhere near Donald Trump. But for some reason, Mamdani's base has given him a total pass because, of course, when you stand next to Donald Trump, this is what Democrats have heard for a decade. You are establishing a permission structure around his fascism. You are condoning it. You're condoning all the vile things that ICE does, the reckless invasion of Iran. You're establishing that as okay. And Mayor Mamdani's base has been totally fine with him standing with him.
Yeah, although interesting today, Mamdani gave an interview with NPR. It was very interesting. I was listening to it this morning. And about the fascist issue, okay? And Mamdani doubled down on it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll play it. It's an interesting clip.
When you were campaigning, President Trump did have names for you. He called you a communist lunatic, and you had names for him. You called him a fascist. Now that you've met with him, that you've spoken with him multiple times, do you still think he's a fascist?
Yes.
And do you tell him that?
Yes.
Listen, they seem to have a good relationship. And let me just say about the exchange, or what Trump said about Mamdani, which was, nice enough guy, I've met him, but I disagree with his policies. I wish he talked like that always. That's totally fine to say. That's an okay thing to say. And Trump should be weighing in on tax policy in New York City in this very appropriate way. Unfortunately, Mamdani is really like one of the only ones that gets that kind of treatment. Everyone else gets the typical treatment, which is just invective and awful insults.
All right. Thank you both.
Every time
You're done.
he comments on Mamdani's looks too. He's a beautiful guy. I mean,
I think he likes him. I think he likes that he gets a lot of media.
I mean, I'm clearly motivated by professional
Physical
justice.
appearance is important to him. All right, thank you both very much. And next, the breaking news. President Trump just sounding the alarm about the midterms after an unabashed Democrat just won big in a special election. Congresswoman-elect Analia Mejia is my guest next. Plus, I'll talk to the photographer who's about to be honored for capturing this dramatic moment in the Oval Office, where Trump is staring straight ahead after one of his guests had collapsed. It's an unbelievable picture. The photographer coming up.
When you're away from the spotlight, you have time to think about what really matters. Oh! The spotlight!
Well, here I am. Sitcoms are making a comeback. Knew they would. I'm executive producer now, and we've got work to do. What's fun about this to you?
Don't look at your phone to see what other people think about it.
Okay. I looked. Ow. I know.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Wow, what is this place?
The Real Real is the destination for authenticated luxury resale. They make it simple to sell what you have so you can shop what you really want.
Can you believe my old owner paid retail for me when she could have just gone to The Real Real?
Shop and sell with The Real Real, where the fashion speaks for itself.
I have active psoriatic arthritis, but want to move with more freedom. So I'm ready to jump in with Skyrizi. Along with clearer skin, Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And it's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
How you like your new Trek stock?
Oh, it's beautiful. I wish I'd done it sooner.
Thought about Treks, but I've never minded doing a little maintenance. It's rewarding.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
Trex, performance engineered for your life outdoors.
Still dealing with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment?
Then you know there can be unpredictability.
Workarounds. And avoiding.
It was time to make a change.
I changed. I changed too.
My doctor recommended Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
I got rapid symptom relief at 2 weeks. Check. Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining. Check.
I got lasting remission, meaning few to no symptoms. Check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
Today, business happens virtually everywhere. That's why you need Supermobile from T-Mobile. In moments of high demand, T-Mobile's network adapts to put your business connection first.
Supermobile, the best business plan on the best network.
Why can't psoriasis just leave me alone? The inflammation inside. This on the outside. The pills and creams haven't done enough for me. I can feel the stares, hear the whispers. I'm done. So done.
Talk to your dermatologist about your psoriasis symptoms and treatment options. Go to SoDone.com.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
Breaking news, President Trump bracing for losses, just declaring at an event with young voters in the key battleground state of Arizona, quote, "We have to win in the midterms."
For some reason, a president, Republican, Democrat, the party does poorly in the midterms. It doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure it out. We'll go out, I think, probably hire a couple of psychiatrists. What the hell is going on in your mind? How does that happen?
Steve Contorno is out front in Phoenix, where Trump just spoke at the Turning Point USA event. Steve, it's interesting. You know, he is trying to position this as, you know, this always happens. And in fact, it is true, right, that the party in power loses the midterms most of the time. But what we're seeing now, in terms of where things are very, very much in advance, is something perhaps even bigger than that. Who knows how it's going to turn out? But that's the fear among a lot of Republicans, right? What are they telling you?
Absolutely, Aaron. I spoke with a Republican operative here in Arizona shortly after Trump spoke, and this person said, look, if the election was today, it would be very, very bad for Republicans. Now, they said there is still time, obviously, but they need Trump to go the next 6 months without mentioning a foreign country. Those are the exact words that this person told me, because the base voters and many midterm voters want to see Trump focus back on the issues here at home. And that is certainly something I heard over and over again when I spoke to attendees here at this event. In fact, I've been talking to Republicans at events like this across the country over the last 6 months. It is hard to find a young person who is supportive of this war with Iran. They want to see mass deportations. They want to see this affordability crisis come under control, and they don't believe that Donald Trump so far is delivering on this promise. And the fear among Republicans is that especially these young people, young men who were so critical to Trump in 2024 are either going to sit out this election or potentially even vote for Democrats. So that is the fear, and Trump obviously spoke to some of that today, not only that quote that you just played, but he also made these sort of vague promises that prices are going to come down, that we're going to start soon to see oil prices fall as well, and that'll lead to lower gas prices. But the fear is that Trump is not quickly enough turning the page to an economic and an America First message, instead focusing too much on what's happening abroad.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. And of course, you say that the one Republican telling Steve, don't mention another foreign country. And the president, of course, just said Cuba's next up to bat. A landslide Democratic victory in New Jersey, meanwhile, is one of the specific races stoking some of those fears among Republicans. Progressive community organizer Ana Lilia Mejia winning New Jersey's special election to fill Governor Mikey Sherrill's House seat by 20 points. Now, that's a really big margin, and it's really big when you consider it in contrast to Kamala Harris, who did win the district but only won it by 9. So Ana Lilia Mejia doubling that. Her win signals the district is pushing left, and she was backed by Bernie Sanders and AOC. She ran on a progressive platform. It included things like abolishing ICE, Medicare for all, national minimum wage of $25 an hour, and Elizabeth Warren's ultra-millionaire tax on net worth over $50 million. Mejia was also the only Democrat in the primary to raise her hand and say she believes Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And she says her victory is part of a bigger movement ahead of the midterms.
I deeply believe that we are at a turning point in this nation, my people. Do you feel it? Do you want it?
Ana Lilia Mejia is out front now. And Congresswoman-elect, I appreciate your time. So, you know, I went through some of the things that you have on your platform, a progressive platform. Let's start with this question. Is your victory, put Republicans aside for a second, it's also a warning sign for moderate Democrats, right? That you ran on that platform and that won.
Well, I will say my district is a mix of working class, middle class, even affluent constituents. And at every turn, I would hear the same thing: affordability. I would hear the backslide of our democracy. I would hear concerns about this president. And what they want are fighters. They want individuals who are going to step up and say, you know what, we're sick of this. We're not going to follow politics as usual. We're going to step up and speak to the concerns of everyday people. And I think progressives actually have been doing this for quite a time. And I think my message resonated across this district. And I think we will see more of it through the midterms.
Which is obviously very significant significant as we come into more primary races for Democrats across the country? What do we see there? And that obviously comes before those midterms. Yeah. You posted photos of yourself with protesters at a No Kings rally, holding anti-Trump signs. And obviously the No Kings rally are about the democracy issue and about Trump. The former editor of the National Review, Bill Kristol, says the Trump factor in your race was huge. How much do you think the president's actions impacted turnout?
I think the president's actions and the capitulation of the Republican Party is clear as day to most voters. I think, again, people have been watching the American government turn its guns on the American people. People have been watching a president bluster into a war that's costing upwards of $2 billion and then turn around and tell us that we have to make do with less. People have experienced an increase in their health care costs, 175%. In my district, people have experienced an increase in energy costs by 5%, housing by 6%. So folks are just feeling the pinch across the board. You add a doubling of gas prices, and folks are fired up to do something different. Again, I think progressives have been at the forefront calling out this president and calling out the capitulation of both sides of the aisle, to be honest.
In your victory speech last night, you called House Republicans specifically cowards, and you specifically noted their reaction to some of these images that Trump has been posting, right? That when he posted the one where it was clear to anybody looking at it that he was Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And you called on Congress to stand up to this madness. Okay, I put the image up here so everybody could see it. Just to remind everybody, Trump said he thought that he was a doctor. What do you plan to do about this? Because I understand the frustration that people have with Congress, but when you're in there, what can you do?
See, the members of Congress actually have two levers. The first one is the ability to legislate. And obviously, until we flip the House, we're not going to be able to advance many of the policy ideas that regular, everyday Americans really want Congress to tackle. But members of Congress have a second lever. They have the ability to educate. They have the ability to convene. They have the ability to engage their constituents. When I was running in the primary and in this general, I held trainings for constituents to understand authoritarianism so that they could see what is happening in this administration through an informed lens. I am bringing experts do more to engage the electorate, to better inform them, because people are hungry to not only understand what levers of power they in fact have, but to understand what is happening so that they could intervene more effectively.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Congresswoman-elect. I know you're going down to Washington, you said Sunday, and that you anticipate being sworn in on Monday. All right. Thank you very much. And next, a CNN special report. We're going to take you to North Alaska, where the U.S. military is now preparing to take on Putin should he set his sights on the Arctic. This is an incredible report from our Jim Sciutto. Plus, I'm going to talk to a photographer who took what is now an award-winning image of President Trump, an image that went viral. What is it about it that caught the world's attention?
Steady, Ryan. Stand by your brake, master. In 3, 2, 1. Effect. Before you brake, please.
The itch and rash of moderate to severe eczema disrupts my skin. Despite treatment, it's still not under control. Now I have Rinvoq, a once-daily pill that reduces the itch and helps clear the rash of eczema fast. Some felt significant itch relief as early as 2 days, and some achieved dramatic skin clearance as early as 2 weeks. Many saw clear or almost clear skin.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Disrupt the itch and rash of eczema. See a head-to-head study of Rinvoq versus another treatment at Rinvoq.com/see the data. Talk to your dermatologist if you're not doing well on your current pill or injection to see if Rinvoq is right for you.
You know those moments where you suddenly have to ask yourself, how did I end up here?
Oh my, thanks for dragging me into this.
Are you feeling sharper?
I think I'm sharp all the time.
Kara Swisher wants to live forever. Saturday on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
Still have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment?
It was time to make a change. My doctor recommended Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
I changed and got rapid symptom relief. Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining.
I got lasting remission, meaning few to no symptoms.
Check. Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
I tell my neighbors, you don't need pills for this,
powders for that,
when you can get it all in one scoop.
You've heard that.
A few times.
You know what? I'm going to call them, make sure they're up. Straight to voicemail.
At the time of his arrest.
Why can't psoriasis just leave me alone? The inflammation inside. This on the outside. The pills and creams haven't done enough for me. I can feel the stares, hear the whispers. I'm done. So done.
Talk to your dermatologist about your psoriasis symptoms and treatment options. Go to SoDone.com.
At the Home Depot, Spring Black Friday savings start now. With 14 days of deals and guaranteed low prices. To bring your yard up a notch during Spring Black Friday now through April 22nd.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now, I have Skyrizi.
And now, I'm back in the picture. Skyrizi is the only IL-23 inhibitor proven to help achieve remission, meaning few to no symptoms in just 4 weeks for some people. Many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help visibly repair damage of the intestinal lining.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Now's the time to take control of your Crohn's. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease.
Tonight, you're looking at what is now an award-winning image of President Trump, looking forward, as you see, as a man has collapsed just feet away in the Oval Office. The photographer who took that picture is about to be honored in front of the president himself at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'll play the original moment. It happened back on November 6th during a White House event on lowering the cost of weight loss drugs. The person you see speaking is the CEO of a weight loss drug company, Eli Lilly, Dave Ricks. You can see a guest who is standing just feet behind the Resolute desk suddenly collapse, and within seconds, aides are rushing in. White House medical staff is helping, Dr. Oz is helping, and the president, you see him there, then turns and is staring ahead. The Getty photojournalist Andrew Harnick captured the moment. Now, important to note, most importantly, the person who fainted is okay. Now, President Trump also made a statement as soon as the event resumed.
So he went down, and he's fine. They just sent him out. He's got doctor's care, but he's fine.
Out front now, the photographer who took that photo, Andrew Harnick from Getty, as I said. And Andrew, you took this picture, right? It's obviously an odd moment, a jarring moment. Somebody might be, not okay. Turns out he ended up being okay, right? But at that moment, nobody knew. And you take this photo where you see the man on the floor and everyone around him and the president there looking in your direction. And an hour or so after you took it, it's around the world. It's viral. Everyone's talking about it. And I'm wondering, you know, you take so many pictures and you have such a sense of what might resonate and what is a moment. Did you realize how powerful this image would be when you took it, or were you surprised?
Thanks for having me, Aaron. You know, I had an inkling that it would be something, but I really didn't have any idea of just how much of an impact it was going to have. You know, our cameras move incredibly fast. I use Sony cameras, and they can send a picture back to our office in a matter of seconds after they've been taken. And from there, they'll go to an editor and out to the world. So when this happened, I sent these photos a few minutes later. We were actually held outside of the Oval for quite some time and then brought back in to finish the event. So by the time I got back to my phone, my computer, it had been an hour and a half since those photos had gone out. And I really had no idea until I got back to my you know, check the internet. I mean, it was just everywhere.
It was. I mean, because there's something about it. It's quite powerful. It resonates. I mean, can you just take us into the moment there? Because it's not as if there's just a few people over there around someone who had fallen, right? I know a lot of people are in that room. You're talking about the other photographers like yourself, reporters, right? There's confusion. Someone falls. There's a medical emergency. I mean, what more can you tell us about this moment when, and the chaos in a sense that was going through when you have that contrast with the president standing there staring ahead?
I think it is important to realize to folks who are not doing this job that you know, behind the camera there are lots and lots of people. The press group that goes to the Oval Office is a group of 13 rotating journalists. Of that, there's 6 to 7 still photographers. There's Secret Service. There's Trump administration officials, all behind the camera. And so when something unscripted like this happens, you know, it was a chaotic scene. And, you know, a lot of luck comes into this as well. You're shooting, you know, I'm working alongside some of the best photojournalists in the world. They are incredibly talented. Politics is very, very difficult to make something interesting and compelling and newsworthy because usually you're just dealing with somebody delivering a speech behind a podium. And obviously this was a pretty significant visual moment. And I just happened to be at the far side of the room at the time. And so as everybody was escorted out, I just happened to be the last one in the room.
Well, it is, as I said, it is incredibly powerful. You know, Saturday Night Live put their own spin on it. Here's how they portrayed it.
Oh, no! Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Someone was dying in my office. I think I'm playing this very normal. Just stand there and stare like a sociopath. Didn't even pretend like I was going to help.
I mean, pop culture, right? Saturday Night Live. You're going to be getting this award for the photo. Do you think it'll be awkward receiving it when you think about moments like that and its viral role in pop culture, considering Trump's going to be there in the audience when you get the award?
Look, everybody's going to approach this photo with what they're bringing themselves. Everybody's going to have their own opinions, and you know, my job is really just to capture what happens in front of me and report it out. And you know, it's a privilege to be in these spaces that the general public rarely gets a chance to be in, and it's my job to be the eyes of the press corps.
Yep, and it is important to have people who take their job with such seriousness and thoughtfulness as you do. And Andrew, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.
All right, and next, a CNN special report. We're going to take you to one of the most remote parts of the U.S., where the U.S. military is now preparing for what could be a new threat from Russia.
Even on an antidepressant, there are days I feel stuck in my head. Depression symptoms like sadness and low energy can hold me back. I wanted to break through. I asked about Vraylar. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant significantly reduces overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone.
Not for elderly with dementia-related psychosis due to increased risk of death or stroke. Report changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts to your doctor. Antidepressants may increase these in those under 25. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may not go away. High blood sugar may lead to coma or death. Weight gain and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, uncontrolled movements, tremors, feeling like you need to move, nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common. Side effects may not appear for weeks.
Vraylar, breaking through to relief. Ask about Vraylar.
When you're away from the spotlight, you have time to think about what really matters. The spotlight! This won't be just a stand-up show. This is bigger than just me. You are going to be remembered for comedy. You are the #1 living legend. Here we go!
Another day. Same pain, same meds, same struggling for symptom relief. Injections like Humira and Enbrel work similarly to treat moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis or psoriatic arthritis. But if your symptoms haven't improved enough, Rinvoq works differently. It's a once-daily pill that can rapidly relieve RA and PSA joint pain, stiffness, and swelling, as fast as 2 weeks for some. Even after 3 years, many people felt this relief. In PSA, Rinvoq can leave skin noticeably clearer.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Do something different. Ask your doctor if switching to Rinvoq is right for you.
It's not rocket science, but it's close. Introducing Ego's next generation zero-turn riding mower with E-Steer technology. It drives like a car and turns on a dime. And with 24 horsepower, it has the power of gas. With precision cutting, you have to see to believe. Backed by a 5-year warranty, Ego cuts up to 2 acres on a single charge, and 1 battery powers all Ego tools. Discover the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power at an Ego retailer near you.
You are a best-selling author that the parents have actually heard of.
I doubt that any of my books are on the shelves of this hallowed institution.
They aren't.
I write because sometimes I wish I was someone else. This is college. You get to reinvent yourself.
That's kind of hot around here.
Hi, Coach.
You're a bad boy.
Tonight, an exclusive look at how the 11th Airborne Division, who call themselves the Arctic Angels, are training in northern Alaska for potential attacks from Russia and China. Jim Sciutto has this special report.
In the frigid landscape of northern Alaska, troops from the U.S. Army's 11th Airborne Division are training to defend the Arctic from Russia and China. They call themselves the Arctic Angels.
We're prepared to, address any threat that we're needed to, that the nation asks us to. Specifically, we're focused on the Arctic.
The weather is unforgiving. Temperatures dipping to 50 below zero, waist-deep snow, and winds that could bring frostbite within minutes.
Launching.
But now there is a new threat hovering above their heads.
200 feet. Good job.
These soldiers are training for the dawn of drone warfare.
So this year was the first year that we got as much emphasis and as much push on it. So we have more drones now than we ever had in the past. We've had drones before, but the emphasis has definitely ramped up given the technology and world events.
This is the new reality for the U.S., its allies, and adversaries, demonstrated in deadly terms by the war in Ukraine. where drones now account for the vast majority of casualties. Ukrainian and Russian forces now deploy airborne drones, which can ram into and destroy aircraft, blow up tanks and armored vehicles, and even rain down flammable chemicals on personnel. Now, the U.S. is integrating drones into every aspect of training for war, and in the Arctic, they are being battle-tested. Drones operate in hunter-killer pairs. A surveillance drone spots the target, a killer drone takes it out.
This would be something that you would strap right on the bottom of the drone here. This was something I 3D printed just before coming out here.
Do you feel like, as you fly these around, that you're the soldier of the future to some degree, or really it's the president?
I think so. It's really hard to get away from these, and being on the receiving end, it's kind of a little scary.
And here's why. Killer drones can hit 70 miles per hour.
There's no outrunning this.
There's no outrunning them.
Yeah.
Launch. Once you're detected, it's probably too late. And the hunters can detect you in more ways than one.
The thing about drones is that they got two ways to spot you. Not just seeing you on camera, but sensing you, sensing your heat signature. And that's that red spot you're seeing right now on his screen. That's me standing in the middle of the road and below freezing weather, and they can spot you from more than a mile away.
Hunters and killers. Hunter identifies the target, killer destroys it.
And the field of view is just amazing. There we are on screen. That's us. Sitting ducks.
Hyper-visibility in drone warfare requires hyper-mobility.
So this is the Cat V cold weather all-terrain vehicle.
We can move under tree cover into the forest pretty easily. So any vehicle that's going to give you that kind of mobility and allow you to get to places that are less suspected to have people and equipment, that's going to be a great opportunity to survive.
Fact is, U.S. and NATO forces still have a great deal to learn. In the U.S. and Israeli war on Iran, multiple Iranian drones have penetrated U.S. and allies' air defenses, one striking a U.S. base, killing 6 U.S. service members. And when NATO went head-to-head with a Ukrainian drone unit in exercises last year, just 10 Ukrainian drone operators defeated a force of thousands, destroying more than a dozen armored vehicles. That was just an exercise.
Do you feel like you're playing catch-up to some degree?
I wouldn't say we're playing catch-up. I think we're using lessons learned there to drive the directions we go.
That was Jim Sciutto with that incredible report. Thanks so much for joining us. AC360 starts now.